never get a third wish out of us!
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have fought off hordes of villains over the course of decades, with many of them watered-down portrayals in the cartoon to make them more kid-friendly. The introductory comics have often taken darker routes for gruesome depictions of villains, and with gruesome depictions comes grotesque character designs that scream body horror, which also happens to be something our channel is quite fond of. From genies with heads double the size of their bodies to creatures that look like brains with tentacles, we hope to bring you 13 creepily weird villains that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have fought across several media. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. So thank you, and let's begin.
That's right. Bow before your master, rat. There's nothing you can do that I can't see coming.
Rat King. Starting the list with the Rat King, the world itself has been derived from the phenomenon where several rats would intertwine their tails together, and needless to say, the Rat King here has a penchant for rats. In the Mirage comics, he started off as a homeless lunatic who has several variations of his identity, often being referred to as a monster. His cartoon counterpart in the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series proclaimed himself to be the ruler of rodents, hence named the Rat King. Just like his comic counterpart, the Rat King was a homeless man living in the sewers of New York City. His dreams were stupid and simple, as he desired to bring an end to humankind while allowing rats to take over. A skewed sense of identity caused him to believe that he was a rat himself and that the rodents were the superior race. In the latest comics, the Rat King is the Kickstarter of the Armageddon game. It all began with his family, the legendary Pantheon, falling from prominence, and with that, the deities, including himself, losing importance. With the rise of the mortal heroes on Earth, the Rat King believed that the Pantheon's best days were far behind them, as they could not host their games of war and conspiracy on the planet anymore. So he started the Armageddon game alongside Krang, Null, and Baxter Stockman, hoping to unleash terror on the world of the Ninja Turtles. Throughout every adaptation, one thing has remained constant: the Rat King's less than appealing looks. Definitely not the type to get a lot of matches on dating apps. The Rat King wears a dilapidated but fitting outfit on his muscular body while having a long cloth wrapped around himself in bits and pieces. Oftentimes, a part of his hair is missing, while his cartoon counterpart sports blonde hair. What makes him so grotesque, however, is the fact that he often has rats on and around him. His Armageddon game counterpart even looks like a rat with severe male pattern baldness. His appearance isn't the only thing that makes him terrifying. In the cartoon, he was portrayed as a skilled villain who could create bombs and dangerous chemical weapons. He was highly intelligent and would often control rats with a flute, much like the Pied Piper. In fact, his music was able to affect Splinter, and he was almost able to kill the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Null. Even though the Shredder holds the title of being the deadliest enemy of the Turtles, Null is not too far behind. He appears in the Archie Comics Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures as an enemy not to just the Turtles, but also all mutated animals. He is depicted as a businessman in a purple suit and horns, sporting an evidently evil face. His projects as a businessman in general were harsh on the environment, with him dumping toxic waste in the ocean and burning down rainforests. However, he did not do it to make profits, but to exterminate mankind as a whole. Null had sold the Earth to Maligna, an alien warlord. He had struck a deal with the Four Horsemen, who were a group of demons representing the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse: conquest, war, pestilence, and death. He would give orders to Death and make him control the other three like they were puppets, kind of like they were the demons. Null was the devil. In the Archie comics, he orchestrated a massacre of the mutant animals. While the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were flying home from Jerusalem, their cargo plane was attacked, and meanwhile, the mutanimals had begun to die on their secret island. This was discovered by the future Turtles, that is, the Ninja Turtles from a future where Splinter had passed away. It was soon revealed that the aliens had built their base on this island. More villains arrived and killed more and more of the mutanimals, while Michelangelo got taken away by the United States Coast Guard after the cargo crash. But before before the Turtles could decide upon their rescue plan, they were met by the demonic Null and his 4 cyborg lackeys with guns. Soon, the two sides faced one another, and Null blasted off towards the moon. The future Turtles followed them in pursuit, while Donatello and Leonardo stayed behind to save Michelangelo. At the dark side of the moon, Maligna revealed herself and destroyed the ship of the Mutanimals. But when her hive world got attacked, a massive battle took place between the Mutanimals and Null's team. With the future Turtles grouping to fight off the threat, Null lost the battle but promised to return. Null had started off with 2 small horns projecting out of his head. However, with every evil deed, the horns grew in size and his appearance grew more and more demonic. Eventually, he acquired large horns, bat-like wings, and a demonic tail. In fact, he had started out as just a regular human, but his disgustingly evil nature turned him into a demon. And as a demon, Null had super strength, the ability to shapeshift, fly, and control minds, and pyrokinetic powers, making him quite a formidable enemy.
And no one, no thing is smarter than the Krang! Oh, I'm sorry.
Krang, the brain-like enemy of the mutant turtles and ally to Shredder, Krang is quite visibly an alien. In the IDW comics, Krang was a reptilian creature from the Utrom race of small brain-like aliens. He used to be a spoiled brat whose father was the emperor of the Utroms in Utromenon, a planet in Dimension X. However, as his father believed that Krang could only be a ruler but never a leader, he was determined to earn the emperor's respect. Krang went after his father's enemy Traxxas with a secret squad by himself, while his father, Emperor Quanon, launched his offense with his best soldiers. Unfortunately, Traxxas was aware of Quanon's plan and managed to kill all the soldiers. Krang witnessed the massacre and found himself stuck in an awful terrain of planet Morbus, where it rained acid. Hard times create strong men, and that's what happened with Krang as he realized how strong he truly was as the only survivor, and that his specialty was his mind, which he would use to rule. Soon, he stormed into Traxxas' tower with a lizard he had tamed and used it to kill the Conqueror before stabbing him to his death. And after that, he took over Traxxas' army, earning his father's respect. However, he went on to become a tyrannical leader and eventually arrived on Earth after the destruction of Utromenon. He set up the Technodrome, which he planned to terraform Earth into a new home for his race. In the cartoon, however, he allegedly used to be a reptile before losing his body after being banished from the Dimension X. Here, he met Shredder, who allowed him to live in the Technodrome while the former created an exoskeleton for Krang. He was never so much interested in the Turtles and killing them as much as he was interested in conquering Earth by powering up the Technodrome, but he would help Shredder with his plans as the mastermind. Later, Shredder made him a bigger android body, acquiring which caused Krang to return to his tyrannical self. He tried to access Dimension X to bring his armies to Earth via a portal, but he was ultimately defeated by the Ninja Turtles. Across several occasions, the Turtles managed to send Krang and Shredder to Dimension X as well, imprisoning them. In terms of appearance, Krang was not just any brain-like creature. He looked like a creepy octopus brain, with his body acting like that of an octopus. In fact, this was a result of Utrom inspiration, where Krang was a tentacled alien that looked like a human brain. Meanwhile, his android body in the cartoons often sported a module carved into the torso from where Krang controlled the entire system. In terms of powers, Krang's USB was his intellect, while his android suit often amped up his physical prowess, allowing the suit's hands to shapeshift into weapons, jet wings, or gadgets. He could even use psychic powers on weak-willed soldiers to make them obey him. His Archie comic counterpart could also attach itself to bodies and take control of them.
Friend, you're the one who attacked us, you walking
Mutagen Man, Seymour Guts. Seymour Guts began his journey as an average delivery man who was a nerd. One day he stumbled upon Shredder's secret laboratory, while a mutagen to turn people of New York City into mutants was boiling below. However, when lackeys Bebop and Rocksteady saw Seymour Guts, they began to shoot at him, because the latter was an intruder. The constant shooting caused Guts to fall into the vat of the mutagen, while the concoction was super unstable. Guts' body was dismembered dismembered severely. Bebop and Rocksteady had to build him a containment suit while the torso having a mutagen tank to preserve his body. However, Seymour later realized that this condition temporarily allowed him to shapeshift, but Seymour could not turn into his old self, which made him desperate for Shredder's help. His helplessness caused Shredder to take advantage of him, often making Seymour do his bidding while the latter had to stick to his disgusting suit. Ultimately, Seymour chose to help the Turtles against Shredder and Krang and was cursed by Donatello. This time, however, Seymour chose to be a good-looking guy instead of reverting to his nerdy appearance. The television series depicted another mutagen man as he made his appearance in the episode known as the Pulverizer. Originally, he was known as Timothy. Timothy was far less appealing than the average human, but after touching the mutagen, he sported a grotesque appearance as a green blob with tentacled arms and visible vital organs in his body.
Didn't recognize you. New haircut.
Baxter Stockman. Baxter Stockman started off his journey as a humble inventor before he was recruited by Shredder. He used to sell strong, knee-length robots known as Mausers to pest control agencies, but they were too strong for fighting off pests. Stockman suffered from success with his invention being too good for the requirement and was thrown out into the streets. Eventually, Shredder would find him and make him an offer to create a master control system of Mausers. Stockman took up the job and programmed his Mausers to destroy the master of the Turtles, Splinter. Eventually, the Ninja Turtles would destroy his creations. Also, a horrible incident had caused him to mutate into Baxter Fly. In the future, Stockman was confined in an asylum as he would speak about the Ninja Turtles and Shredder, with people considering him insane for believing in such creatures. He would later be broken out of the asylum by Shredder, who Baxter would continue to side with. The Mirage comics presented him as a scientist who had hidden motives with his Mausers, specifically created to curb New York City's rat problem. Baxter worked under Shredder to discreetly use the Mausers for robbing banks. When journalist April O'Neil learned the truth about the Mausers, Baxter sent his creations to kill her, who was finally saved by the Ninja Turtles. The Turtles also succeeded in destroying the Mausers, and the resulting explosion brought Baxter's building down, who paid for his failure by having his left eye removed by Shredder. He was not so much a depiction of body horror, but his face, however, did a bad job at hiding the fact that he was indeed a mad scientist.
The Mayalita mozzarella card.
Pizza Face. A playable character in the video game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Legends, Pizza Face has one of the worst appearances out of everybody on this list. He looks like a rotten pizza that is melting. Not the most appetizing sight even for Michelangelo. Originally known as Antonio, he used to own a famous New York City food chain known as Antonia's Pizzarama in the 2012 animated series. The Pizza Face character used to appear in the food chain's pizza boxes, but too bad the owner turned into a pizza himself. However, after being exposed to the mutagen, he turned into the villain known as Pizza Face as he wanted to taste the concoction, hoping to find a new ingredient for his pizzas. As Pizza Face, he would create living pizzas to capture humans, bringing the Ninja Turtles down as he would eat them. Ironically, it was the food that would eat the people instead of the things being the other way around. However, Michelangelo, the professional pizza eater, ate Pizza Face from the inside, freeing everyone else. Pizza Face was a big blob of walking, talking pizza who had mozzarella skin, pepperoni eyes, mushrooms, and tomato sauce for face toppings, and chubby arms with a face. He could create mozzarella guards to protect himself. Meanwhile, the living pizzas he created caused people to enter a state of a trance. He would then control the minds of those people. He could even spew cheese out of his mouth to capture more people.
My did you trying to start something, sucker? Cause I got a great ending for you.
Belly Bomb. Belly Bomb was an affiliate of the insectoid crime lord, Lord Vringath Dreg. He was known for having confidential information about the Triceraton mothership. He was originally known as Vrax Bellabomb, and his knowledge of this ship would allow the Turtles and Professor Honeycutt, their ally, to steal it back. Vrax would soon meet Michelangelo. He would give him the nickname Belly Bomb, as they would go on to discuss the deal over getting the spaceship back. However, after getting a down payment for the service, Belly Bomb would run off with the professor's money. The turtles eventually gave up on the money, and a salty Michelangelo told Belly Bomb that he had better information about things such as the black hole generator, so he did not need Belly Bomb's knowledge. This in turn made the latter curious, so he went on to hire microscopic alien creatures known as the neutrinos to infiltrate the turtles' mind.
It was you! You did this to me!
Muckman and Joe Eyeball. The mutant garbage man Garson Grunge used to work at the sewers when he was a regular human. There, he would often come across other mutant monsters. He was attacked by Pizza Face's minions, Leatherhead, Fungus Humongous, Fear Spores, and others. After Krang invaded the city, Grunge heard the commotion caused by the turtles who were fighting Rocksteady and Bebop at an abandoned Krang lab. Around this time, Grunge got a canister thrown at him that Bebop had originally thrown at Michelangelo. Grunge fell into the dumpster, and when he rose again, he had mutated into a humanoid mutant who was 6 feet of garbage with toxic vomit, a banana peel cap, and an eroded skeleton for his appearance. Talk about a glow down. He later partnered with Joe Eyeball, a mutant with eyeballs sticking out of his small body who convinced Garson Grunge, now Muckman, to be a superhero. As a sewer mutant, Muckman can control garbage and had the ability to dissolve things.
Oh, US of A! Stupid cops!
Scumbug. A wordplay on scumbag, Scumbug used to be a businessman who was mutated inside the lab of Baxter Stockman or Baxter Fly. Scumbug was created by mutating a human with a beetle and a spider made to serve Baxter alongside the other mutant Anthrax. They were tasked with helping Shredder and his Foot Clan, with Scumbug making his debut in the insect trifecta. When Shredder was bedridden due to his injuries, Baxter Stockman tended to him with a mutagen drip, which wasn't showing the best results, primarily due to the mutagen being rendered less potent to avoid side effects. However, Stockman's consistent consideration caused Shredder to acknowledge him as his most loyal servant, prompting Stockman to go above and beyond to make Shredder happy. As such, he set out to refill Shredder's money cache, increasing his wealth and power, which resulted in him creating the insect trifecta. This is why he abducted a random businessman and mutated him with a beetle and a spider in his mutagen tank. After creating the trifecta, Scumbug tried to rob a bank with his partners, and he showed off his prowess by overpowering the New York City Police Department. As a mutant, Scumbug had a stocky build with a purple body that looked half human and half cockroach. His mandibles could chew through metal, while he had retained some of his human skin. Talk about body horror. Pizza Monsters. We are making an enemy out of pizza at this point with the Pizza Monsters. Michelangelo, please forgive us. Hailing from Dimension X, the Pizza Monsters appeared in the episode The Case of the Killer Pizzas in 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles television series. The Pizza Monsters were born from eggs that looked like meatballs. As they hatched, the monsters appeared in small sizes, coming into contact with water, however, caused them to grow massive in size, changing their color from red to yellow. They had huge xenomorph-like heads akin to the creatures in the science fiction movie known as Alien, scrawny limbs, and teeth that were in desperate need of braces. The Pizza Monsters arrived on Earth after Krang brought 3 of the eggs from Dimension X in order to help Shredder in destroying the Ninja Turtles. Baxter Stockman scattered the eggs across pizzas and tried to send them to the Turtles via an event. Splinter realized that Shredder was somehow involved in it, but the Turtles did not want to turn down free pizza from the Pizza Bake-Off. April and Irma were also present there when the rush orders resulted in switch-ups, with them receiving one of the spiked pizzas. As the girls tried to microwave the pizza, the egg got activated and hatched, prompting April to contact the Turtles. Meanwhile, 2 other kids had received the 2 other spiked pizzas, and the Turtles were too late to prevent them from hatching. As the Pizza Monsters ran across the town, they were controlled by Baxter from the sewers via a handheld device. He made them fight the Turtles, but Donatello eventually found the controller and smashed it into the water. That made the creatures go rogue as they started to attack everyone. As such, the Turtles had no option but to work with Shredder's team to send a large blast of energy at the monsters. This energy, as deduced by Baxter, would turn them back into eggs, and ultimately, the Turtles were able to cause a power overload, turning the Pizza Monsters into eggs once again.
Nice to meet ya. Let me greet ya. You can call me
Worm. If Disney and Pixar movies met Western cartoons and science fiction at the same time, one might get Worm. He's a reality-bending creator of chaos who is scattered across the universe after being encased in a hypercube. He is not one of its kind, though, as there are two other creatures who have experienced the same fate so far. Worm was much like a genie, while the hypercube was the lamp. For a person to get their wishes granted, they would need to follow 3 rules. They could not wish for more than one wish, they'd have to share their wishes among themselves if they were in a group, thus coming to a mutual conclusion. And finally, no one can wish to hurt a worm. In terms of appearance, Worm looked like an overly colorful and high-contrast flatworm, especially with the top of his head having worm-like extensions. His skin was blue and his head was exaggerated, with the bottom half being half the size of the top half. He sported horribly chipped teeth, making him the worst nightmare for Willy Wonka's father. He even had a tentacle for his right foot that allowed him to attack, while the left foot remained in a boot. Noitaidar. Noitaidar was an Oni, or demon, from the hellish underworld. He had been offered all the souls on Earth by Jian Kong in exchange for plunging humanity into the pit of nothingness, a pit where demons devour souls, bringing them to their deaths. With such an enticing proposition on the forefront for a demon, Noitaidar agreed to help out Jian Kong only if the latter opened the door between the two worlds. To open this gateway, Khan sent his warrior dragon to demolish a cooling tower and cause a subsequent nuclear meltdown to summon the demon. This brought it into direct conflict with the Ninja Turtles, while Khan freed April O'Neil's roommate, Oyuki Mishimi, with a knife, only in order to sacrifice her to complete the ritual. By the time the Turtles and Splinter could make a difference, the dragon's deed was done and Noitaidar appeared on Earth. The demon attacked Warrior Dragon itself with his eye beams, bringing the creature back to its senses and causing it to fight back, while Splinter used his sorcery against the Oni. With Mashimi still alive, Noitaidar remained tied to his energy source, prompting the Turtles to stop Jian Khan. Meanwhile, the demon defeated Warrior Dragon when 2 spirits named Izanami and Izanagi, the Japanese gods of creation, appeared. Izanagi blasted Noitaidar into oblivion, who ended up in his underworld as a dismembered head. Even though he was last seen with his head as a billiard ball, Noitaidar had demonic occult powers. Too bad he could not come to Earth without human help, and too bad the attempts to do that will always be foiled by the Turtles.
Good idea. It feels a lot.
Wingnut and Screwloose. Originally, Wingnut was a brown alien bat from planet Dexion V in the comics. He had become an orphan after losing his parents at the intergalactic movies. He later went on to adopt Screwloose, who lost his parents to a space circus tragedy. In Bat in the Belfry, April O'Neil's crystal was shown to bring comic book characters to life, so Michelangelo tried to bring his favorite superheroes, Wingnut and Screwloose, into the real world. The plan worked out and they found themselves in the Turtleverse. However, Wingnut assumed Michelangelo was an enemy known as Tortoise Man, and it led to an altercation between the Turtles and Wingnut. As things got cleared, the heroes, including Wingnut and Screwloose, had a great time stopping crime together, but soon Wingnut and Screwloose realized that they were nothing but images projected onto reality. Wingnut eventually told Screwloose that they could sustain themselves in the real world with the crystal, making them more real than the people who originally belonged to the world. But following a fight with the Turtles, the two heroes had no choice but to accept their fate as April absorbed the crystal's energy, causing Wingnut and Screwloose to go back to their false worlds. The 1987 animated television series introduced us to Wingnut and Screwloose from planet Flaganon as they appeared in Zack and the Alien Invaders. In the episode, they tried to take over Earth using robotic cockroaches and their mind changer. However, the honorary 5th turtle, Zack, and the 4 turtles managed to defeat them, causing them to go back to Flaganon. Wingnut looked so much like a buff Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, but with a snout that looked like it should be on Pinocchio. By this we just mean the snout was like a longer nose. He had monstrous sharp teeth and wings that looked like they were made of steel. Meanwhile, Screwloose was comparatively better looking in the sense that he had a cute small purple body with a nose shaped like a lightning bolt. What made him look odd was his choice of green apparel, which kinda looked really awkward on a purple body. The interesting thing about the duo was that they literally could not sustain their lives without one another, which in turn strengthened their friendship. So talk about friendship goals. And with that, we come to an end for today's video. So what do you think of these 13 body horror TMNT villains? Did you enjoy this video? If yes, don't forget to leave a like and comment on the video below. And until then, have a good one and be safe, and we will see you next time. Thank you, everybody.
Whoa! You were right, Mikey!
Holy chalupa!